Well, someone that's not going to do that is a man who is irredeemably politically neutral, one of the finest journalists in the country, the chief political commentator of The Independent, John Rentoul. Good morning, John.
Thank you, Mark, for that introduction. Excellent.
Well, it's true. Always admired your work. Read you and, of course, listen to you on the radio. John, how much pressure is Sir Keir Starmer under? Lord David Frost has suggested that Keir Starmer will not be Britain's Prime Minister in a year's time.
I heard that. It was a very refreshing interview with Lord Frost there, I thought. It offers the prospect of a revival in the fortunes of the IEA, the Institute for Economic Affairs. I think he'll be good at that. But I think he's getting ahead of himself in suggesting that Keir Starmer's not going to be Prime Minister this time next year. I mean, he's not the only person who thinks that, by the way. I mean, Keir Starmer certainly is extremely worried about his position. That's why he panicked and presumably authorised that briefing against Wes Streeting this week. And that was one of the reasons why Rachel Reeves gave that extraordinary early morning speech 10 days ago, warning that she was going to break the manifesto promise on income tax, because they were so worried about the effect of the budget. But now it's turned out that the OBR forecast isn't quite as bad as she thought, and so they've done a U-turn. It looks like chaos in number 10.
Most definitely. So do you think it's now highly unlikely that she will have to break a manifesto promise?
Well, it depends what you mean by break and manifesto promise. I mean, the FT is speculating that instead of raising the basic rate of income tax, she will cut the threshold, which means you'll start paying income tax at a lower rate. So everybody will pay more income tax, but it won't technically be a breach of the manifesto pledge, she will argue. It's last year all over again when she claimed that employers' national insurance wasn't national insurance paid by working people. I mean, nobody really believed her. But I mean, as long as there's some sort of wriggle room on the wording, she'll get away with it, I suspect.
That's right. Even the neutral IFS called the next tax raid tax on workers, because the cost to business will be handed down to people that work for companies.
Well, of course it will. There's nobody else, is there? I mean, It's working people who pay taxes. I mean, indirectly or directly.
Most definitely. And so what about what's happening at number 10? The Prime Minister has cleared his Chief of Staff over toxic briefings. Morgan McSweeney, the architect of the Starmer project, feeling the heat. What's the latest in number 10, do we know?
Well, the latest in number 10 is that they're trying to move on from it. And this U-turn on the budget certainly looks like it'll wipe the story from the headlines. I mean, Keir Starmer yesterday was saying nothing to see here. I've had all my senior team in, given them a dressing down. They tell me nothing happened, and I believe them. I mean, I don't think anybody else is going to take that at face value, but you know, that's the point about anonymous briefings, is that they are anonymous and journalists will protect their sources, and so we will just have to move on.
Well, let's take a listen to the Prime Minister addressing the alleged briefing war at number 10.
I've been talking to my team today. I've been assured that no briefing against ministers was done from number 10, but I've made it clear that I find it absolutely unacceptable. If it transpires...
So you're saying it didn't come from Downing Street?
I've been assured it didn't come from Downing Street, but I'd be equally clear that whether it's this case or any other, I intend to deal with it.
If it didn't come from Downing Street, where did it come from? And will you sack the person who's responsible?
Well, I will absolutely deal with anybody responsible for briefing against ministers, cabinet ministers or other ministers.
Meanwhile, Morgan McSweeney gets the dreaded vote of confidence. Take a listen.
Prime Minister, do you still have confidence in your Chief of Staff moving this?
So of course I do. I work closely with my whole team. Our focus is on working for the country and making announcements like the announcement we made here today.
We can certainly debate, can't we, John Rentoul's Labour's policies. They have inherited a broken economy from the Conservatives. I'd argue they've made it worse, but they're certainly dealing with a legacy of incompetence from the previous administration. But the concern you've got, notwithstanding policy, is the Prime Minister's political acumen. Is there any conceivable hope that this guy will get the hang of being Prime Minister and become politically more astute?
Possibly, but I mean, I think it may be too late for him in any case, because I think the British public have decided what they think of him, and it's not complimentary. I mean, I've heard pollsters say that, I mean, he is the most unpopular prime minister since opinion polling began. And I've heard pollsters say that there's no way that he can recover from that, and I think that's probably right. Although, you know, I mean, there could be, you know, World War III or some black swan event of that kind. But things as they are very difficult for him to recover. But that doesn't mean that he's going to be out of number 10 within a year. I mean, I think it's harder to remove a prime minister than that.
That said, unlikely that he'll lead the party into the next election?
I think you've got to say that's unlikely, absolutely. I mean, my view has always been extremely simple, Mark, which is that if Labour can stop the boats, then they've got a chance at the next election. Yeah. And if they can't, they haven't. The question of who leads them into the election is secondary, really. I mean, if Shabana Mahmood is as good as she seems to be, and it's not proven yet because she hasn't stopped the boats, and it doesn't look as if the French are helping. But if she can stop the boats, then, you know, she could be prime minister, and everybody would vote for her.
Well, there are quite a few people in journalistic circles who are very impressed with the new Home Secretary, including the former political editor of the Sun newspaper, Trevor Kavanagh. He doesn't share her politics, but he said she's an impressive figure. And that's also a view shared by the political editor of the Sun on Sunday, Kate Ferguson. It seems your view as well. Front page of the Daily Telegraph, John, put country before the ECHR, Mahmood to tell judges. Meanwhile, the Home Secretary looking at a Danish-style solution to illegal immigration. Will she be allowed to do it? Will her party let her shift to the right on issues of
that is exactly the question.
Control?
I mean, it's no use. It's no use me thinking she's good. Labour Party members might regard her as too right wing. But on the other hand, if you know, I mean, this is politics at its most simple. Is if you can deliver something which improves people's lives, then you will be rewarded for it. And you know, I mean, maybe Labour Party members won't like it that much, but if they think that she's their answer to winning the next election, then they might go for it. I don't know.
Susan has said, "Hi Mark, is John Rentoul having a laugh? What's the difference between lowering the threshold and raising the tax rate? It's increasing taxes on working people. Why does this government and left-leaning journos think we're all thick?" Well, Susan, to be fair, I think that was your point, wasn't it, John? Is that this was basically sleight of hand?
There is no difference to the taxpayer whether the rate goes up or the threshold goes down. I mean, if you're paying more income tax, you're paying more income tax.
There you go.
But if you look at the wording of the Labour Party manifesto, I mean, it's a terribly sloppy bit of writing. It's astonishing that got through all the committees it got through. But there is a reference to income tax rates in there. So if the basic rate stays at 20p in the pound, then Rachel Reeves can pretend that she's stuck to her manifesto promise, even as she puts the threshold down and takes more income tax off people.
John, have an excellent Friday. We'll catch up soon. John Rentoul is the chief political commentator at the Independent newspaper.